What's up, everybody? This is Cy Smith, and you are in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. In the basement with JaVonne and Terez. In the basement with JaVonne and Terez. With the basement, hey, with JaVonne and Terez.
Ooh, ooh, I dig that.
Hi, this is your time, and you're listening to and watching Brunch in the Basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music, politics, or just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artist or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today. Come on, everybody's a friend in my head. I already know everybody. Whatever it is, it's gonna be good. One day I'll tell you about me and Shaka Khan, but you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But she doesn't know anything about it. But anyway. No, she doesn't. She wasn't even there actually. But anyway.
All our bosses though, Jay. Like she got our ears and
I'm gonna send y'all some. I'll definitely get an address. I'll send y'all out.
You can send me some cologne, because I mean, you know, yeah. Just in case I should meet Shaka Khan, I want to smell really, you know, nice.
Oh God.
Okie dokie, babe. Whatever you say.
The time, so
and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes,
well, thank you. This part, that little piece, I'm just gonna keep and play it all the time for myself. But no, I'm just teasing.
And I think it's time, Terez, to do a little rapid fire with Mr. Richard Pryor Jr.
I think so. So
yeah.
Don't worry, we won't hurt you.
Hey, what's up? How's everybody doing? I don't know why I'm so little and this big old thing is so big, but I will tell you this. There's a lot of shenanigans in the world and everybody is freaking out and blah, blah, blah. You know, a certain orange toned somebody did some chaotic something, and you know, as is to be expected. But the good thing, here's the good thing. The good thing is that I didn't bother myself with really watching that stuff, only because I knew deep in my heart that I wouldn't have to, because you would. I knew that you would, and I could catch the highlights and you know, deal with it later. Now, some of you may not know exactly what I'm talking about, and God bless you. God bless you. But I have some people coming on today that I know can't wait to talk about, you know, the shenanigans, and can't blame them. I remember watching all of that stuff and being like, but that's why I can't, because, you know, I'm old now. So I leave it to you youngins. Before we get started with the shenanigans in life, the things that are going on in our fair country, in our beautiful, beautiful country. I don't give a crap about, well, I'm not going to say I don't give a crap about what's going on politically. Of course I give a crap, because not only does it affect me personally, it affects people that I love. It affects people that I don't know. It affects people, God damn it. Which, in my humble opinion, is the problem, that there are people who are so self-absorbed that they only care about what affects them. And if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. It's about the others, right? It's about those people who are not here, quote unquote, legally. Look, it's about people that don't look like me. It's about people that don't look like I want them to look. For example, well, when I knew this person was gendered differently, and now they're gendered this way, or they're dressing that way, or they're kissing that one. Mind your fucking business. How about that? See, I even just thinking about this shit, I get all, but that's just me. That's just me. And that's why, before I bring anybody on, because see, my hope for myself today is that I don't blow a gasket, getting all entwined into the nonsense and the shenanigans, because under all of that shit, the bottom line is that self-preservation. You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can put it on someone else. And so I need to chill the fuck out. And the way that I do that is by listening to music. So if you'll just grant me a few, I'm just going to spin a few tunes, just a few, and then we'll get on with the getting on. Okay, just a few tunes. Now, a couple of things that we have to do during this show is we're going to have to dedicate a few moments to Black history, because every day is Black History Day in my life. I don't know if you can tell that, but yeah, because I need to honor myself and honor you. And here's the other shit. Black history in America is American history, period. Black people weren't here by themselves during the times that things happened in this fucking country to Black people and with Black people. Period. So let me give you a quick example. Most people know by now that it was a Black guy who invented the stop, what the hell, I can't even think of it, the stop signs or whatever, not the stop signs, but the lights, right? The traffic light, that's what I'm thinking of, the traffic light. It was a Black guy that did that, but he wasn't driving on the road by himself. It wasn't only Black people driving. That's American history. It was an American person who happened to be Black who invented the traffic light. If this country wasn't so fucking conditioned to be concerned about skin color, we could just talk about an American fucking invented the traffic light. That was an American invention, but no, we have to break it down and say that it was a Black guy, because why? Historically, in this country, Black folks don't get credit for shit. And I remember being told, and I promise you this is the truth, I was told as a kid that Black people never contributed shit to this country. And that is why we have to break it down as to, no, a Black person did this, a Black person did that, I don't want to get too personal, but there are relationships that I'm in, or I have been in, or that I've witnessed, where one person is always saying that, is talking about the things that they did for another person. And I'm just the type of person that I don't want to keep score. Like how many things I've done versus how many things you've done. Hey, we look out for each other. Why do we have to break it down? I washed the dishes. Well, you took out the garbage, and then I put the bag back in. I put in a new garbage bag. What the fuck are we doing? Is the garbage put away? Like, come on, stop. You know? So with that being said, we will have our Black History moment. And as my favorite pastor, Kevin E. Taylor, now Elder Kevin E. Taylor, Bishop Kevin E. Taylor, he used to say every year on this day, we're going to March 1st. I always like that. March 1st. So today's March 1st, and it is the beginning of Women's History Month. So we have to take a moment or 2 or 3 or 4 and honor women. So we're going to do that. But before we do any of that, I'm going to play some tunes, if that's okay with y'all. I hope it's okay, because I'm going to do it anyway. And just a minute, because I need to calm down already. I'm getting myself all excited and shit. Damn, Jay. Can't you do anything calm?
Believe rubbing your spot, love, I just scream the punishment, but it don't stop. Watch the pun get wicked while I even you be like, don't stop, get it. I don't wanna be crazy no more. Punisher, stick down what you love from home. I don't wanna be crazy no more.
You need to get it, please don't wanna love you the right way. He ain't gonna always satisfy where you wanna be. Location. Yes.
Cause I got it like that, but it ain't even gotta be like that. Yo man, he be calling me back, he say I'm fine, and a matter of fact, he asks how I do that fit my jeans over baby fat. Listen, I don't know the type of tricks he playing, but I should warn you, I don't want you, man.
I understand why you wanna try, make him stay home late at night, but if you wanna go, he'll be gone, no lie. I can't explain how many times I tried, how many times I cried, thinking about mine and where he might be. Remember when I gave everything I got, couldn't get deep down inside. How you love someone who didn't love me.
Come on.
Now I get it, he don't wanna love you the right way. He ain't gonna always at his way, where he wanna be. If he ain't gonna love you the way he should, then let it go. If he ain't gonna treat you the way he should, then let it go. If he ain't gonna love you the way he should, then let it go. If he ain't gonna treat you the way he should, let it go.
When the song come on in the club, they gon' be like, damn, that's hot. And when they play it in the car, they gon' drop their tops like, damn, that's hot. They gon' mix it with Biggie, it was all a dream, like, damn, that's hot. Me and Keisha don't stop till the tape don't top, like, damn, that's hot.
Yeah, this one right here goes out to all the babies, mamas. Baby mamas. Yeah, go like this. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize a trillion times. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to.
What's up, y'all? This is Bo Lake and Lou, and you are in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. In the place to be and the
you'll try to fight me. You need to get East American pie and take her right out. That's my house. I disconnect the cable and turn the lights out. Let her know her grandchild is a baby, not a paycheck. Private school, daycare, shit, medical bills, I pay that. I love your mom and everything. See, I ain't the one who lay down. She wanna rip you up, start a custody war. My lawyer, stay down. She never got a chance to hear my side of the story. We was divided. She had fish fries and cookouts for a child birthday. I invited, despite it. I show her the utmost respect when I fall through. All you do is defend that lady when I call you.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize a trillion times. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. You say it's puppy love, we say it's full grown. Hope that we feel this way forever. You can better predict it, but you can't predict the weather.
Check it out, baby. Make it hot, baby. Bring the drum here. Def Jam. Make it hot.
Now I'm mad. Now I'm freaking mad. See, now I'm freaking mad. See, that just pissed me off. And with that, how you doing, Gigi? I can't hear you, baby.
Hello, JaVonne. Hello.
No, I can't even.
You was trying to jam. I was there with you.
Just trying to chill.
I know.
Pop said, Tammy, too much strikes again. Please stand by.
I was like, I'll just sit here because I don't know if they can see me or not.
Y'all can't stop this. Look, universe, whoever, I don't give a shit. Y'all cannot stop this.
It's so good. It's so good. Look, it's Women's History Month.
It is. It's Women's History Month.
Yes.
No, and speaking of which, one of my favorite women who's here with me just about every week, Terez, will not be with us today. So I have to extend my well wishes for her and apologies to those who are tuned in to watch Terez today. But her other half, that would be me, is here. And so, we got a great show lined up for you today. So,
miss you, Terez.
Before we get into anything, Gigi, I want to do our Black History moment. And then I want to do our women's history moment. And then I want to bring on our special guest.
Okay.
Because once she comes on, I don't want to stop for nothing. You know what I'm saying? I just want to hear her take. And for those of you who don't know, our special guest today is Counsel Person, Jess Branas, friend of the show. Now, not even just guest, now friend of the show. So I'm just gonna right now go live on Instagram as well. And we are live on Instagram. Hello to anybody on Instagram who might be checking us out.
What's up, IG?
Yeah, I'm not even sure when we go live on TikTok whether or not they can hear the guest and everybody else. I know they can hear me, but I'm not sure if they can hear everything that's going on in the show. So I have to just take some time out and create snippets. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but and I haven't had time to do much of anything creatively, but I have to create some snippets and put them up on TikTok. With that being said, Instagram and Facebook should be live right now. And I want to first start off with, it says we're having trouble streaming to Instagram. I can't get into it. Whatever.
It's all good.
Yeah. Whatever's here will be recorded and I'll make sure it gets around. I can't spend time fixing it and running my mouth at the same time, because inevitably I'll say something something live that can't, that I can never take back. So let's get with the Black History Month.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Harry Belafonte, a multi-talented entertainer and activist who broke barriers in the industry and was instrumental in the civil rights movement, has died.
Well, civil rights are something that I inherited, or at least struggle for civil rights. I got it from my mother, my father, and they got it from their mother and their fathers.
Belafonte was born in 1927 to Jamaican immigrants in Harlem. In his memoir, he said poverty defined him. At 17, he enlisted in the Navy and served in World War II, and returned to New York and worked as a janitor. There, he discovered theater and met actor Sidney Poitier, who would become a lifelong friend.
We first met as students in a cramped storage area directly underneath the stage of a community theater group called the American Negro Theater. Now, 43 years later, after all the words have been spoken, after most of our dreams have been turned into memories, I am glad to have made that journey with such a man, such an artist, such an activist, such a father, such a friend.
But he found true success in music. Throughout his career, Belafonte broke barriers for African-American performers. In 1953, he was the first to win a Tony Award for his interpretation of American and Caribbean folk music in the review John Murray Anderson's Almanac. Belafonte was the first Black musician to have an album, Calypso, that sold at least 1 million copies. His music style took traditional Caribbean melodies and refashioned them for American listeners. 6 years later, he was the first African-American to win an Emmy for a TV special. He also appeared in movies, and in 1957 was in the first film to portray an interracial couple.
And as long as you're looking for something real, you're not lost.
Belafonte was an early supporter of Martin Luther King Jr., whom he met in 1956. He brought actors like Marlon Brando and Paul Newman with him to the March on Washington in 1963. He used his Hollywood connections to fundraise for the Freedom Rides. In 1964, he guest hosted The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson for an influential week of programming in 1968. He was the first Black host to do so. Guests included Sidney Poitier, Aretha Franklin, Wilt Chamberlain, Paul Newman, Lena Horne, Martin Luther King Jr., and Robert F. Kennedy. Throughout his life, He advocated for humanitarian issues, including the release of Nelson Mandela.
And to get him out of prison became just part of what my daily menu was, dealing with injustice.
And was a driving force behind We Are the World, which raised tens of millions of dollars for medical and food supplies to Sudan and Ethiopia. He received a Kennedy Center honor in 1989 and a National Medal of the Arts in 1994.
He once said, "The role of art isn't just to show life as it is, but to show life as it should be." Well, Harry Belafonte has not only brought joy to his audiences, but he's inspired people throughout the world with his dedication to freedom movements and humanitarian causes.
He stayed vocal about the state of the country, criticizing President Bush for the 2003 invasion of Iraq and President Obama.
So when I'm asked about Barack Obama, and don't I think the black people have moved forward? And I said, no, I don't think we have moved forward. As a matter of fact, I think we have moved into a deeper and a darker place.
Throughout his career, Belafonte's social activism was evident in everything he created.
My mother was also a victim of poverty, and I watched what she did with nobility and with dignity. The way in which she met the challenges hugely influenced my take on what I should be doing with my life when I came of age.
Isn't it interesting that he would think that after Obama became president, we moved to a darker place? He was not wrong.
He was not wrong, not at all.
And that's by no fault of President Obama, because he was outstanding, very smart, and did a bunch of wonderful things for our nation. However, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be at the end of the day, but the ugliness came to surface. It's almost like you put something in the pot and then you put this one ingredient, and then all of the stuff, the grit, the grime starts to bubble up to the
top.
And I feel like that's where we are now, where all of the real hatred, jealousy, prejudice, ignorance has bubbled up and it's spilling over. One can only hope that will lead to it being siphoned out, scooped out. Because now we can see it. But how can we deal with it? How can we be sure to get it all out? Because if you leave any grain of it, is it something we can devour? And well, if you only have this much, you're in it, it will be consumed by the good that's in it. Almost like someone cooking collard greens and not cleaning all of the grit out of it, like or what's that not pig feet, but what's the other thing?
Oh, don't say chitlins. Oh.
Yes, like chitlins. Someone cooking chitlins and you don't get all the chit out, but there's enough that you got out so that it's still good. And there's some kind of, I don't know if there's any nutrients in chitlins, but chitterlings for those
chitterlings, right?
But I'm just saying, I agree. But he had a phenomenal life of advocacy, of patriotism, of entertainment and creativity, which was a wonderful thing. I see Poppy Chulo in here, and let me just bring up Pops.
Pop,
how you doing, Pop?
What's up, Pop?
Good morning. Good morning. I just wanted to come on real quick before our guests come on, Jess.
Why you just coming on real quick? Why you can't stay and hang out?
Well, no, I will stay in the background because I want Jess to focus on what we got to focus on today, and Gigi and you. I just wanted to come up. Well, Rezi, she's not with us, but I just want to give a third face for the basement, and just also before we get into the political stuff, just acknowledge the great legends that we lost this week.
Yes. Roberta Flack,
the incomparable Roberta Flack, the talented Jerry Butler, and the talented Gwen McCrae. And then I think I posted already. And then this morning we lost the Hazel Dukes.
Yes.
This morning. So I got that news this morning when I woke up and stuff like that.
Yes, she was a civil rights leader in New York. She was phenomenal. She was phenomenal. 7 decades.
Yes, that's amazing.
That's for me incomprehensible that you spent 70 years fighting a cause.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
to be here today.
Yeah, and also from the Basement family, we want to send our love, hugs, and condolences to our boy Brandon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Shout out to Brandon.
Yeah, he's the godson of the legendary late Roberta Flack. So, Brandon, I know you're probably not on, but we're sending you our love.
Yes.
We're here for you when you're ready to come back and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Much love, Brandon.
Yeah. And how are you ladies doing today on, well, you know, like I think I posted every day is Black History when I have to deal with 3 phenomenal women on Saturdays. So I celebrate y'all 365 days a year, just not 1 month.
Yes, and we love you, Pop.
Thank you, Pop. Love you.
Yeah.
How was your trip?
I'm about to move, Gigi.
That it was that good.
It was that good. The food, the wine, the people, the architecture, amazing.
Lisbon,
Portugal. And can I tell you, I ran those streets?
Did you?
We wouldn't expect anything less, Pop.
But Gigi, the thing was, we had a friend that lived out there for 9 years, so we did all the local stuff.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah, so they don't eat until like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And like a fiesta type, and it was really, oh my God, it was just the service.
That sounds nice.
And then after that, you walk the streets. And the streets are crowded, and it's like, wow, they're having fun. You feel safe. It was just amazing. Just
wow.
Yes, I came at the right time because it was winter time, which is about to leave. But from May until August, it gets really touristy. But at least if I go in September again, I will know where to go and have fun.
Okay.
But I've added that to my list.
That's your list of places, huh?
Yeah, and I'm not going to be politically, but the thing was, there's a lot of people there's not a lot of thick people there because of the hills and the steps and the people got ass, they got thighs, they got calves and stuff like that, because we did a lot of walking.
A lot of ass and calves and thighs, huh, Pop?
Yeah, no, but because like in the daytime, I did the touristy stuff. I went to see castles, I did a tut-tut tour, I did an all-day tour, and when going to the castles, these steps are steep. Oh.
You climbing, huh? It's like Rocky all day.
Yeah, at one point my thighs were burning. Even the tour guide was like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. I drank my water. I'm good."
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Pop.
Yes.
Your life is just phenomenal. All the traveling. I only wish I could. I only wish I could.
You can, but you know what? You can do it. Don't do the I woulda, shoulda, coulda. My thing is, you know what?
Just do it, right?
Just, you know what? Like I tell, just eat the freaking cake.
Anime, eat the cake.
Just eat the cake. Because my thing is, when we leave this earth, and then you go, well, what was their last meal? Oh, some lettuce leaves.
Oh no, we're not having that now.
I mean, do things in moderation. But my thing is, if you can do something, make yourself happy. Make yourself happy. If you have the resources or whatever, even if you take a day to yourself and walk through the park, do something different to make yourself happy, especially during this administration. That's all I can say, because the people in Portugal, at one point at dinner time, my buddies and I, they tried to start a conversation about New York and the administration. I shut them down. I'm like, look, we're in Portugal. I don't want to talk about it. Some people at the next table said, you know, we're laughing at you immensely.
Wow.
I can't blame them.
Yeah, no surprise.
If I wasn't scared, I'd be laughing. It's you know,
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for the rest of the show because I want to hear what Gigi and you and Jess have to say. But I've learned at this point right now, all I can digest is 1 hour in the morning and 30 minutes at night.
You're better than me, Pop. You're better than me because yesterday that the visit to the White House?
No, I seen the feeds or whatever, but
yeah,
I called JaVonne. She was like, I ain't watch it. I was like,
I ain't watching. I don't want to talk about it. Somebody sent me the video. I watched 2 seconds of it. Just seeing. Look.
All I'm going to say is from seeing it, Vance, you're a freaking punk.
He is.
You're a bully. You're a punk. And I'm not trying to get again the views of me. Is not of WJBR, but you're a freaking punk. And you know what? Y'all days are numbered. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, the views, information, or opinions expressed during Brunch in the Basement series are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of WJBR Internet Radio. And although that is true, it is a widely shared opinion.
And I understand it's okay to be angry. I'm not mad. I'm just angry at the moment.
I'm concerned because
I am too.
First of all, well, I'll wait until we bring Jess on to
yeah, and I'm about to bounce off so you can bring Jess in and y'all can start
before we bring Jess in, and I'm gonna let you go, Pop. But before we bring Jess in, I just want to do the women's history video, and us women, and you too, Pop, are making our own history today.
Yes.
But every Saturday, I just want to let y'all know, y'all make history for me.
I love
make history
love
for
you,
me,
Pop.
for the new generation, for everyone tuning in. I just want to say thank you, and because of these three strong women, they make me a better man. So and I'm saying that wholeheartedly. I love all three of you. Thank you again for holding me up. Y'all three are my sheroes. So I thank you. I was raised by strong women. I celebrate strong women. Hey, that's it. But I just had to say it publicly as I always do. I love you three. So
love you, Pop. Thank you.
I'll talk to you later, Chulo.
All right, baby.
Bye.
Have a great show.
Yes. If I don't Tammy too much.
Come on, Tammy, you got this.
Hi, happy International Women's Day. And here's something we've put together especially for you. Enjoy.
It is said that girls with dreams become women with vision.
So I want all the girls watching here and now to know that a new day is on the horizon.
I am the hope and the dream of the slave.
The world of work has been designed by men. And now I think women have a great opportunity to change it.
God, use me. Use this life. I don't know what the future holds for me, but I know that there is a vision for my life that is greater than my imagination can hold. Use me. What would you have me to do?
I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men.
Many people wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. When you see me walking, it ought to make you proud. I say it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman. Phenomenal woman.
The moment you can figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing, the sooner you are able to get about the business of doing that.
When I look down at this golden statue, may it remind me and every little child that no matter where you're from, your dreams are valid.
Up from a past rooted in pain, I rise.
I went on the courts with just a ball and a racket and a hope, and that's all I had. And it's inspiring for all you guys out there that want to do something and want to be the best that you can be and want to do the best that you can do. You just never give up because you never know what can happen. You never know who you can inspire.
When that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, "Me too," again.
Diversities of faiths and colors and creeds, that is not a threat to who we are. It makes us who we are.
May we empower each other to carry out such vision, because it isn't enough to simply talk about equality. One must believe in it, and it isn't enough to simply believe in it. One must work at it. Let us work at it together, starting now. Thank you so much.
I hope this has inspired and motivated you. Remember, anything is possible if you have self-belief.
And with that, I want to bring on another phenomenal woman, Jess Branas.
What's going on, guys?
How
are you?
Hey, Jess.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound
Yes.
good.
I'm mobile this week because I am actually visiting my parents. So I had to find a quiet spot in their house in order to do this. But I'm so happy that I'm able to do this with you. How are you, ladies?
I'm good. I'm good.
Gigi, you're shaking your head a little bit.
You know, it's been a week.
Yeah. Oh, it has. It definitely has. It definitely has.
So, Jess.
Yes, ma'am.
So here's my thing, and my understanding, and I could be completely wrong, with my facts, well, my understanding. So, when it comes to Ukraine, Ukraine is a country that separated itself from the reigns of the Soviet Union some decades ago.
Correct.
And Ukraine wants to be a democratic country. They want democracy. They believe in democracy. Now, previously, prior to Captain Chaos, our goal as America, one of our global goals, or one of our strategies and hopes as a country was to bring democracy to the rest of the world.
Right.
Slowly but surely. And therefore, Ukraine was like a little brother. Not only did we make a promise to the world that we would protect democracy far and wide and near, right? But that if any nation sought democracy, we would stand up for it.
Right.
Not only that, when we were going after Osama bin Laden, who terrorized this country successfully, because you, as a New Yorker, when that was my home that was bombed.
Yeah.
Those planes bombed my home.
Oh, I lived in Pittsburgh at the time, and people were scared shitless because the plane came down, 45 minutes outside of Pittsburgh as well.
Right. Right. So we as a nation, and even people as far as California, were shaken, although it may not have been in their town, but for those of us who were impacted, like we couldn't even go outside for like 3 days. I couldn't get home because I lived in Manhattan and I was working in the Bronx when the towers hit. So I couldn't even we weren't allowed to cross any bridges or go through any tunnels. Right? So Ukraine helped us to find this man. Ukraine helped us fight ISIS. Not Russia. Russia has always been adversarial to the United States. There's no deal to be fucking made when, look, Trump is from, I said his goddamn name. Okay. I said it. Trump is from Queens.
I
got it.
Kinda.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But regardless, the rules are the rules.
Right.
If somebody, and I don't care where you're from, quite frankly, I would think that if you have a little brother or someone you consider to be like a little brother, and when you put up your dukes and fight because you've been placed in harm's way and your little brother has your back, then you have your little brother's fucking back.
Yep.
That quid pro quo, he should have been ousted then.
Oh God, yeah.
Because you that's illegal. You don't do it. It's contrary to what we stood for. Right now, we as a country, there's like maybe half of the country that still stands for democracy, stands up for morality, and there's another half that is so hell bent on getting the other guy that they don't know what the fuck they stand for. They stand for anything, any kind of chaos that comes through. And any simple explanation for it, they fall for it and start repeating it like little fucking puppets.
And it's not that they always fall for it. That's the thing. You know, sometimes I was having a great conversation actually with my father yesterday. And he gets all riled up about all this stuff. He needs to stop watching the news. But there are people, like I said, like last time, the believers, right? The believers. We were talking about the child that passed away in Texas from the measles with this measles outbreak, and they were unvaccinated. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're already having an uproar with this. Now, a person like that will probably in their own mind feel so guilty and it's their fault, they will find any means to justify it so they don't have to face that. And they will justify it out loud online because they know they're going to get pummeled by people.
Yeah.
Who are going to call them out, and they are going to do whatever hell or high water comes to avoid having to feel any worse than they probably internally already do. So they find any reason to justify it. Most of the time they try and justify it by religion or some other bullshit stuff. But that's what many of them try to do. Now, when it comes to the Ukraine, now I think people in the United States seem to forget that Europe and the countries of Europe are like the size of states. You have to remember the country of Ukraine, like when we think of a country, we think of a country as big as we are.
Right.
Right. We have 326 million people in the United States. The Ukraine population is only about 37 million, give or take. Okay. So that's different. That's like the size of California, maybe. So I think there is a perception that we forget to take a look at, because I could tell you that conference yesterday, first of all, that was an embarrassment.
Yes.
Trump and his team, all they cared about is how it was going to look on TV and to put out Putin's propaganda so that way all of his fans see it on the major network Zelensky was the only person in that conference that had any type of honor and facts. And facts, 100%.
Yes.
And he had no problem calling it out and stating the truth. And he did it with dignity. He didn't get overheated. He had his composure for the most part. I mean, you could see him. He was cracking his knuckles a lot. You could hear it, actually. That was fantastic. But when we're looking at a smaller country who has their own independent sovereignty, they are their own independent nation, they should just be allowed to do that. It's kind of like, what if, well, I have my opinions about this, and obviously my opinions are my opinions, not the entire council that I'm on, but I should probably say that because only God knows who trolls me. But, it's like if for some reason Canada decided to say, but actually I kind of wish they would, if Canada decided to say, you know what, we're going to start bombing you and taking you over. We want Alaska. We want Maine. We want this, and we are taking it from you. We are going in. We are coming into a sovereign nation. We're coming in with such fury, and we're going to make sure that the whole world sees it but thinks you attacked us. I mean, think about the birth of this nation. And when people were, on the expanse, going through the West, coming up upon all the Native Americans, what they do? Push them out. Push them further and further. But then finally they said, you know what? We're going to give you your own piece of land. And it's going to be yours. We're going to make sure that it's exempt from certain things. We're not going to have any control over it. But that was a way to control that population. But at the same time, everywhere from Massachusetts, because there are towns that have historical sites with plaques or whatever, throughout you will see, and you will see it in history books and in stories, oh, well, the savages attacked us, referring to the Native Americans. No, they didn't. Other way around. They've been rewriting this history forever. And you know what? They're just trying to rewrite history on national TV yesterday and change the story. But these people out there who believe it, either A, they don't want to believe anything else. Some people regret their decision and don't even want to admit it.
Yeah.
Maybe not many, but I think a lot, now that it's actually hit them in other ways.
Yeah. I just watched a story about a woman who was like that.
Everybody should go back and watch Rocky IV. Rocky against Ivan Drago in Russia. That's when we last had this, situation where we were, and Ronald Reagan would be rolling in his grave right now.
Oh, absolutely. 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 All the work he did, bring down that wall.
Tear down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev.
There you go.
So it's scary. It is scary that we now have a pseudo leader and his musketeer spouse, or it could be vice versa. I don't know who's really running anything.
Have you noticed that? I mean, so I admittedly have not been watching all of this madness, right?
You're so lucky.
No, I'm burnt out. I was burnt out from his first administration. I mean, from the moment that he came down that escalator, I was glued. Can I tell you, glued to the television, to every piece of news. That whole right? This time I can't do it. I can't do it. But what was I gonna say? Damn, I lost my thought. This is why I can't do it. I'm just
it's hard to keep track of everything, and I think what a lot of people forget is some of all this stuff is for show.
Right.
A lot of it's and it's hard to decipher if you're not well versed with this. It's hard to decipher what is reality and what is not.
Right. So, this here incident could have serious consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
that is the concern with this. The staging was for show,
Mm-hmm.
but the outcome may have consequences. A lot of his stuff has no consequence because he ain't gonna do shit. But what I've noticed is that it's very rare that you see him at a presser now, an official presser by himself.
Mm-hmm.
What president is going to meet with another president and have their vice president present?
I'm surprised it was J.D. Vance who was present and not
I
Elon
know,
Musk.
and not Elonia. Yeah, that's what I was shocked.
What I didn't like was the reporter who was like, a lot of Americans are offended, and he asked this to Zelensky, are offended that you're not wearing a suit. You don't dress up when you come here.
Stupid. Nobody.
When
have you seen Musk without a t-shirt and a baseball hat on in the Oval Office giving a presentation?
That was just ridiculous.
Yeah, but Zelensky was great. He's like, you know what? When the war is over, I'll wear a costume. He called it a costume.
Right, costume. Yes. I heard him.
That was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
isn't
ridiculous.
that what's her name's boyfriend? They said that was her boyfriend. What's her name? The one with the 3 names. Dang, I can't think of her name. I can't stand her.
Well, whoever he was, he's a jackass.
They said that was her boyfriend. I don't know.
Who?
3 names? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I don't know anything that happened ever since she had an affair. I don't even know if she was dating somebody or not, but that's pretty.
Actually, the funny thing is that I've heard less about her and her whorish counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only saying that. I mean, really, I have no.
You haven't watched the committee meetings. Those are interesting.
Nope, have not. The only snippets I catch is when Crockett is putting their asses back in check.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my favorite meetings to watch.
Yeah, I have no stomach for the nonsense. I just need to know that someone is checking that shit.
Yeah.
Nathan says Winston Churchill didn't wear a suit at FDR's White House because he was at war too.
Yeah, correct.
Right. And mind you, Trump, the fella knew that because Zelensky had said that multiple times that he was wearing what he wore and to be in solidarity with his people.
Yep.
That was said years ago, right? So, all of that is just like you said, just for show, just for something. And they sat up there, it was disgusting to hear them laughing and thinking it was funny. This was not funny. None of what we saw was funny at all. I was disgusted. I was livid. I ended up going on a live thing because I needed to get it out. It's just terrible.
Mm-hmm. It was I don't think that we've ever had in history such an embarrassing moment. And I mean, when Pop came on earlier and he was talking about being in Portugal, like he's totally correct. Everybody is laughing at us. Every head of state in the major countries of the world are looking at us saying, what the fuck? Yeah. And quite frankly, I wish those countries would come here and help us for once. Please come here, because if something happens here, it's going to affect you. So, I mean, we've tried to come, well, depending on the administration, we've tried to come and help through certain things. Guys, there are 81 million of us really that kind of would like you to come help us a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the 77 million of inflated numbers that this guy got. We know that that's not the case, and there are
a lot
more
of that
of
is starting to change. That's starting to change slowly.
Yeah,
but
we don't have any more time, girl.
Yeah, no,
we don't.
That's true. That's
so
true.
I have a question for you, Jess. So when they decided to move the press out, right, and they said they were going to go wherever they were going to go, and then at that time, did you hope and wish that Zelensky would decide to not sign that agreement and leave?
I thought he didn't sign it.
He didn't.
No, right. That's what I'm saying. Before we knew.
Oh yeah,
that,
I don't want
right?
him to sign anything that
Okay.
Trump puts in front of him. Nothing.
Yeah,
And
because the
reasoning
only
behind
thing,
it,
the only thing that I would venture to guess is that Trump is trying to say, listen, all you have to do is hand over part of this territory or Kiev or something to Russia and whatever. The problem is that Putin doesn't care.
right?
He doesn't care. He could sign something, and like Zelensky said during the meeting, he's already decided to like strike out 25 different times when he's had a ceasefire agreement.
Exactly.
He's decided to ignore
Correct.
it. Like Trump, like the orange man ignores the court system.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I look at, we're trying to look at all these different things, and Ukraine is just one of the problems because it's been happening for so long. And that is senseless because that is going to give way to Putin wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the orange guy probably in that agreement, and now I'm not sure because I did not see the agreement, I did not read the agreement, but I would assume he probably had it stipulated in there that Ukraine would not be allowed to join NATO.
That
because think about it, they're
Yeah.
surrounded by NATO countries, and
Right.
the first time this started, the first hit 3 years ago that started this particular part of the Russian-Ukraine issue, they should have been automatically allowed to join NATO.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
Yes. That's it.
Biden should have made that happen. Now, I mean, we could sit here and complain all we want about the orange and the musketeer and the couch grinder, but we and the administration, all the cabinet members who have no experience. But
it's
quite
like
frankly, there are a lot of things in the past 4 years that Democrats did not do that they should have done.
Exactly.
I'm in
And so
agreement.
that's part of the problem too. And a lot of them now are speaking up because they're being forced to, because their constituents are calling them. And some of them care about speaking up, like Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren.
Presley.
Representative Frost from Florida. He's amazing. He almost got kicked out of a committee meeting the other day because he called Grifter in charge. That is the orange man's new name to him.
Oh, and the one that called him called Elon a dick. Remember, they're trying to get him.
That's the same guy.
That's what I thought,
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
Yeah.
So we have those people, but there are still a lot that are not doing it. And quite frankly, they should have been speaking up 8 years ago.
Yep.
They should have been firing off because now the Democratic Party and even the independents who lean Democratic, they're looking for people to be more Jasmine Crockett type. Because that's what we need.
Yeah.
Even when things calm down, you never know if it's going to resurrect.
Yep.
Correct.
And we need more than one Jasmine Crockett. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We need, people.
435 of them.
How about that?
Yes, 435.
How can we move to get you to the big House of Representatives?
I am exploring options right now. Currently, I am helping to campaign for a special state Senate race here in Pennsylvania, in the area that I grew up in, which is about it's like 2 counties over from where I live now. So there are a couple of different options. There's state option and obviously a congressional option. The congressional member here in this particular area is a major Trump supporter. This is a rough area though, because you have some urban areas because it is outside of Philadelphia, but you have a lot of farmland too. So you have a dichotomy of representation. This county is I believe one of the largest Spanish speaking counties of the state. We have the most, we have about 36 to 37% Spanish speakers, which is great because that was my master's degree.
Excellent.
So, and nobody has ever messaged out to the Hispanic population here. So I think that, especially when they seem to think that the Democrats are about communism and it scares them. That's why they normally vote Republican, not just because of like the pro-life issue, but because there's been so much messaging that, oh, Democrats are communists. That's not true. If you look at what people call like socialist countries, so true socialist countries would be places like Denmark and Finland, where everybody's happy and everybody has health care and everybody's healthy, and that's it. When you look at places like Cuba, when you look at places like North Korea, those are state-controlled communism. That's what that looks like. They are an oppressive government. So we have to start letting them know, listen, what's going on right now leads to your state-mandated radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talks about this, making sure that you don't want to, maybe one day they won't have taxes, but we're going to ration off all the money. But that doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to make sure that we up here on the hill, we're up here. Everybody else is going to be down there, which is not true socialism.
How are you messaging to that community?
I don't know yet. I'm actually waiting to see what happens with this state Senate race.
Okay.
Either way, I'm going to have to put the messaging out there, but I think that is part of the big messaging for the Spanish-speaking community here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just alone having somebody that's here able to communicate with them, because these guys that are there now, I sure as hell know that they don't speak Spanish.
Whose seat are you?
So one thing that I am looking at would be possible state representative, and that would be great because I already worked for the House of Representatives previously.
Yeah.
So I already have my network there and my surroundings there, so that's easy. The other one would be US Congress, so US representative.
All right.
And they would both be for the same area. So either way, it's just 77,000 people as opposed to 770,000 people. Like, that makes a big difference in campaigning.
Yeah.
You
So I
know.
have a question. Since they said that the felon signing an executive order stating that the official language of the United States was going to be English, right? How will that affect you campaigning in that type of demographic moving forward? Because I know that means that they will start pulling back documentation and literature when it comes to different languages. How will that affect you?
Well, I would make sure I get, first of all, I would not just, depending on what would happen with the race, I would make sure that a lot of languages are covered. One good aspect about being on council in the township that I am in outside of Philadelphia, Upper Darby Township, we are the largest township in the state of Pennsylvania. We are the 6th largest municipality. We have about 90,000 people just in our township. Our state legislative districts are only about 65,000 people across the state. We have 90,000 people in our township. Our township alone has 81 languages spoken. We are literally like one world in one place. That is like the phrase of our township. And so I've already known that there is an importance. Even here, don't forget, you have Pan-Asian communities, Indian communities, any type of South Asian communities, the Islanders, Hispanics from all different types of areas. You got to remember, there are 21 Spanish-speaking nations around the world. 2 of them are territories, but, and you cannot neglect that. If you look at South America and Central America and Mexico, they're all bigger than the United States combined.
Right.
It makes no sense. And English has always technically been the official language, but Spanish was considered the official second language.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be. Just like I still call Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico. I ain't changing it. I don't care if Google changed it. I don't care if he signed a little paper on a plane with a marker. My ass ain't changing it. It is the Gulf of Mexico. You cannot change that. That was an internationally recognized name. So he can sign whatever he wants. His people can believe him, but it ain't the truth.
Exactly.
Correct. True.
I'm curious about the Spanish-speaking community, or community within the whole United States.
Yeah.
And how must people feel after they ran out and voted for that nonsense for him to then,
I think a lot of people didn't believe that he was going to, not that he wasn't going to do it. I think a lot of people figured, well, if they know that I voted for him, he's not going to do it to me.
That's what I heard some people say. That's what I heard some people say.
And I mean, some of them don't care, but I think not with like the second or third generations that have already been raised as Americans, but like the undocumented that are here, or those that have been here that just never assimilated to, typical like United States culture, whatever you want to call it. I really think that a lot of it is fear. A lot of it is we don't want our country to become what we escaped from. And the Republicans, the GOP, their messaging was the Democrats are going to turn it into what you came from. So that's the messaging that we have to switch. Now, people who are like, the DACA students, the DACA recipients and stuff like that, they know better. They were not, we're talking the old school people who knew what it was like to be in those lands and have to travel and try and get here.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been bamboozled.
And don't forget, if they believe something, they're going to pass it on to their next generation. They're going to pass it on to their kids, and they're going to pass it on to their kids. So now we're fighting 2 extra generations of people who don't have the information. Plus, they're not learning the correct stuff in school anymore. That's it. Right. That's the problem. So you're right. It's not just about fixing this moment. It's about also educating those who are younger to make sure that they know we can't get to this moment again. That means teaching them about the civil rights movements. Like any book that somebody can get their hands on to read about the real stories of the people in the civil rights movement and what they went through. Now we're in Women's History Month. The real stories about women's suffrage and having to go through that women's movement, the LGBT movements. I mean, they took trans off of Stonewall. What the hell?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So because one thing that we can do in order to combat this is to learn and study what they did, because they've been through. I see people laughing all the time. We're not worried about this. We've already done this once or twice. It's the younger generations that have no idea what to do, yet they don't go back and educate themselves on what to do.
But isn't that the biggest problem with why they are, when reading Project 2025, it is clear that they were prepared for every situation and every turn. So even in fighting and going through the courts, they knew that some would resist, but that didn't mean that they were going to stop their agenda, right? So they know that, and that's why they pushed removing the books way before. They had already started that by making sure that they were getting things done by state. If you started with one state, then you keep moving it through each of those states to remove the education. I am reading this book.
Oh, yes.
Right? And in this book, it is clear where we are, right? So I just want to read this really quick because it tells you why we are here and when all of this stuff started, right? So in chapter 5, it reads the cyber weapons waging war on U.S. networks and American minds. And it states, just an entire line, it's a short paragraph, by inserting disinformation in publications, advocating extremist ideas, inciting racist and xenophobic flash mobs, conducting interstate computer attacks on the critical infrastructure targets that are vital for the functioning of a society. It is possible to heat up the situation in any country all the way up to the point of social unrest. This is what Putin has been putting in place forever. So what happened yesterday, and I've been reading chapter 5, and boy, I'm highlighted a lot and put tabs, because when I tell you it is so on point to yesterday's event, that he was sitting there smiling at this, because it is exactly where he needs us to be. And the fact that they're lacking the education system and removing this fortitude, these types of books, like these types of books that I buy out of Ollie's. They're like $5, because they know getting rid of these types of books out of mainstream libraries and removing them from places like Barnes and Nobles. Nobody goes to those little, thrift stores and stuff where you find these. But this is the information that you're talking about, Jess. This is where you have to buy it from.
Putin's playbook,
man,
that book has been circulating around for a little bit now. This is not the first time that I've seen it. I have not gotten a chance to read it yet. I cannot wait. But we also have to remember the Heritage Foundation, and not necessarily Project 2025, but the Heritage Foundation has been pumping this information for decades into the political system. And when you talk about, we have to make sure that we infiltrate by this and get rid of this type of education, whatever, you got to remember, even in Ronald Reagan's time, that's when they started taking arts out of the schools.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they started eliminating programs
for
poor and minority communities. And Democrats, when they come in, try to replace some things but not everything, so you never really catch up. I remember my brother, who was 6 years older than me, he had there was a certain program that he went to where you learn and earn. Right? You learn and earn. He got paid minimum wage, and he learned a skill.
Right.
So I was thinking, I'm not going to college, I'm gonna do that too. It wasn't it wasn't available when I graduated high school. I had to go to college. My mother was like, you ain't sitting around here. You can go somewhere and learn something. So, here's the thing. When the USSR realized that they could not beat us through military, it was said that they would have us implode
from the inside out,
and we would become an easy target.
Cha-ching.
And
I'm sorry. I apparently we were for sale.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing that so many people in this country cannot clearly see what's going on. And when you try to explain it to them, they just start ranting and raging and start calling your names. I'm like, okay,
crashing out. They be crashing out.
I would like, because apparently, one of the new things was, the felon decided that he's creating a gold card, and elites from other countries can immigrate here with that for the cost of $5 million. I would like to sell mine, since I'm a citizen. I technically already have a gold card like the rest of us. I say, you know what? I will sell mine to you, and I will take that $5 million, and I'm going to grab Pop, and we'll go back to Portugal. That's what I think.
I'm with you, Jess. Can I sell mine too?
Yes.
You know what though?
That's a good idea.
We have a system here where everybody is so, they're making all these cuts, and they're saying, oh, well, everybody who lives off the system is a parasite. The Muscat said that, I believe. I could be wrong. Could have been the Orange Man that said that, or it could be Vance that said it. Who knows?
Could have been,
but it could have been all of them. But my whole thing is this: that those programs, when I used to work for the state, I would help them with Medicaid. I would help them apply for SNAP and all that stuff. I never once asked them if they were Republican or Democrat or independent, because I knew they were a mix, but I helped them apply for those. And these are people on fixed incomes who are senior citizens who should be able to live with dignity, but they can't because Social Security is fucked anyway. But you have people saying this about those people, yet one of the people who's saying it has been living off the taxpayer dollars and government contracts to the tune of $8 million a day for over a decade.
Yeah.
Who's the parasite? Who's the parasite?
It's crazy.
That drives me nuts. And now he got what? He got a $4 million contract and then a $3 million contract for SpaceX. And now he's trying to, the FAA, he's trying to take over the Verizon contracts for the FAA. honest to God, first of all, he should be arrested. He should just flat out be arrested.
Absolutely.
That's it, for defrauding the U.S. government
Well,
and the taxpayers.
He
Period.
said if Captain Chaos did not get elected, he was going to jail. And you know why he was going to go to jail? I have my suspicions. I mean, I'm just saying. So I feel like it's so simple, and we're in this vicious cycle of the elites bamboozling the poorly educated.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And I also think, again, going back to it, we need people who are stronger. We need the Jasmine Crockett's. We need the whatever. Thanks, Nathan, for saying say yes to Jess 26.
Absolutely.
I love Nathan, my man. But like, that's another thing. You know, you got to break it down to a kindergarten level. When you were on that playground and some bully came over and tried to beat you up, what'd you do to stop him? Pop him in the nose and walk away. Knock him down, walk away. Knock him down.
That's it.
You know, there's no reason to be diplomatic when somebody punches you in the eye on the playground. Hit him back. My whole phrase yesterday was kick him in the wallet. Kick him in the wallet. And it's not just about boycotting it. Somebody brought up a great point. You want to boycott Coca-Cola? Fine. That has something to do with their finances, but everybody else is still going to be buying it. It's like, I know a whole bunch of people that still went shopping yesterday. So the guy said, go to the store and open all the bottles. That way nobody can buy it, whether you want to boycott or not.
Yep.
You know, maybe somebody would take it home and then sue. Oh, mine was open, so I don't trust what's in here now. Who knows? Now that'll really fuck them up. I think everybody should have I think there should be a day where no employee shows up to work.
Yeah.
Now that would be something.
It would only take 3 days to break our system.
Especially if it's government employees. You see,
well, they don't have none anymore.
He fired everybody, and now he's asking them to come back.
But he got rid of their email addresses, so he can't even find them anyway. I liked it the other day. Well, we're going to make mistakes, but then we fix them. Like, we accidentally shut down the Ebola prevention program or funding, but we turned it back on. They didn't turn it back on, by the way.
No, they didn't.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole thing is a lie.
It is.
The whole
thing
is a lie.
And I know you need to take a break, JaVonne, and make sure that you're not mentally like wrapped in that rabbit hole. And I think that's very smart. I think it's smart for everybody. I've had to do it. Gigi, I'm sure you've had to do it.
I haven't.
But but there are certain things like you will start to recognize what's show and what's not. I concentrate on not watching now that they got rid of Joy Reid, like now I'm all flipped out because
that's a whole other thing.
that's a whole, I can't even, I'm so pissed off, but I try not to watch, like I watched the thing yesterday because my dad was screaming about it. He's like, I can't believe he's saying this. And you got to see this. Normally this is where I watch the committee meetings, because that's where you get the information is those committee meetings, the subcommittee meeting on Doge, where Jasmine Crockett is one of the ranking members. You know, you have Commerce and Energy, where AOC is one of the ranking members. Or I don't know if she's a ranking member, but she's a member of that particular thing. And that's where you're going to get the actual information on what's happening with the legislation, what's happening with the bills. And you don't have the showy, hey, it's the, Orange Cast and his Class of Clowns show for publicity's sake. That's where you're getting, and I can tell you something, some of those Republicans in those committee meetings, they're trying to spit out those lies too. But that's where the Democrats are finally like saying something.
It's the again, the propaganda, like Marjorie Taylor Greene stating over and over and over again that this is fraud, waste, and abuse. Look, being in healthcare, you have to do all of those HIPAA testing with fraud, waste, and abuse. It's not, right? It's all something just for them to say. And she said, oh, and they're here and they're not working. All of these government people, they're just simping off of your tax dollars. Honey, you work for us. So, it's the whole point that, and then people not even putting two and two together, that the same person that's saying this out their mouth, you are paying her $175,000 salary. It's so crazy that they don't even understand that. So there is where, again, the education is key. The more that we get the real facts and truth, that's why I have this on. This means truth.
I love it.
Facts and truth out to the people is the only way that we can finally fix their brains. Because once you start getting that information to them, their hearts will change. Then they'll start listening and seeing differently. Because right now, nothing we tell them, even when you start showing them right on a piece of paper, or letting them, no, somebody said, no, the felon said, Elon Musk said. It's like they don't look up anything for themselves. They don't go to look. We have to keep pushing truth out there.
Those people who just believe what is being said to them, who don't look it up themselves, I think they're either kind of lazy or they don't know how. They are the people that want this type of administration because they'll be controlled. They won't have to make any choices. They won't have choices to make. Some people think that that's, and I hate to put it this way, like, if you look at I guess maybe like S&M culture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, if, I guess I'll relate this. There was, I think it was like 50 Shades of Grey or something like that, like one of those movies. And apparently like that S&M type of thing, like if you're a dominant or if you're a submissive, there was a portion of where they said that they considered the submissive, that's total freedom, because you don't have to choose anything. There's nothing to choose. Someone's doing everything to you. Somebody's telling you what to do, telling you what to wear, telling you what to say, telling you what to. That's an authoritarian government. That is a state-controlled, communistic, oppressive government.
The only difference, though, Jess, between S&M and the
S&M is fun and authoritarian regimes are not.
No, because
I mean, like,
and the way that you describe it, they are having fun. These people who are just going, they're own the libs. Ah, ha, ha, ha. It's fun for them.
Well, no, I know that that's fun for them. I'm just saying, like, the end result is that they don't want to have to make any choices or take care of anything themselves or whatever.
That's a beautiful analogy. I love it. But what they don't understand is that the difference is that in S&M, there's a safe word. There's no safe word with this shit.
Nope. There is no safe word.
You are so right.
What they're finding out is FAFO, right? That's where FAFO comes in.
Yep.
And you see the people crying in TikTok videos. They cut off my Medicaid. I got fired. Well, you were having fun being told what to do until you got told to sit your ass over there and you're not getting your paycheck anymore. You're not getting what you worked for, what you earned, or what you deserve. When the other people are being harmed, you're good with that, and that's funny. That's what I wanted.
I mean, I look at it like, people are not, people who voted for this. I mean, certainly it wasn't me, so I don't consider this being my government whatsoever. At least portions of it. I mean, there are people that I do like over there, but I have not been able to vote for them because I don't live in their districts. So that kind of sucks. But when you have somebody who's middle-aged, such as myself, right? My parents are senior citizens. How could I vote for a regime that is planning to take that away when that's something that my parents utilize?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or but if I was 65 and all of a sudden they cut mine off, then I'd have a shit show about it. I'd have a tantrum. But there are a lot of people out there that don't even care that it affects their parents or their daughters or their best friends or their cousin or whatever. But it seriously comes down to the first word you learn as a child, I.
Yep.
Me.
So a good example of that is that guy on Fox. Oh, is he on CNN?
Oh, which
the
one?
The one on CNN that goes always going back and forth with everybody. And he was the one saying, "Oh, Doji, you got Doge. You got Doge." That's what he was saying. Oh, they all got Doge. Until it was a close friend of his who he had grew up with, who just got Doged, right? And then he was like, "Well, maybe, people need to not be as cruel." And this guy said, "But you must be talking to yourself, because this is what you've been saying for weeks. Like it didn't matter. You thought it was funny that people were getting fired, but now someone that you care about, that you know personally, now all of a sudden it's not funny." No, I think it's more funny now. I think it's funny now. It's funny now because now you're feeling it, because you didn't care about all those people. I have a friend that's in a couple of people that we know that are in the FBI, and I've been checking on them, right? Seeing how they're doing and what's going on. And, they're like, thanks, every day is stressful for them. Every day they're trying to figure out, what's going to happen next. They don't know. And then I talked to my son yesterday. My youngest son is in the military. He's been in there, be 13 years, right?
Oh, wow.
Went in at 17. He's been active duty all his time up until last year. Something told him he just wanted to end up going, wanted a break. He started working for airline company. But he's still in reserve. Well, he decided, because he was in a contract with the reserve, with one of the companies, and then they decided that they were letting go almost everybody, because we already know some issues with FAA and building the planes, whatever. So he says, okay, he's going to go back. He's going to do a full-time reserve, go full-time reserve with them. And they didn't take him. Because, why? Because they're cutting everything back, right? Thank goodness he had been applying for other jobs and just got an offer. But the fact is, we really don't put the pieces together to even know.
Wait, Gigi, hold on for a second. Stop there for a second. Okay, here is my big gripe, that if Terez was here, she'd be able to tell you that this is something that I have spoken about forever, right? So Gigi's son, this particular, I've known him since he was a little Scooty.
Yep. Yes.
He'll always be Scooty to me. I know, but sorry, can't help it. He is a freaking genius. He is so smart and intellect that, you would think that would be the first thing out of her mouth to brag about how smart her son is. When he was applying for the military, and he had taken certain tests because he wanted to be in a certain position and a certain training that, you had to have a certain IQ to go. His older brother told me he took that. I couldn't even pass the first two questions. He was so proud of his little brother, and we were all proud of him when he went off, right? He has done so many things, and he has certain skills that certain people just, it's not like just anybody can do it, is my point. You have to be skilled, trained, and an expert. He has an expertise, is all I'm trying to say. And he's brilliant, and he's one of the good ones. He's a good guy. He's very naive, in that naive kind of sweet young man, just brilliant. And why would someone do something so foul? Not really, but just a good fucking human being. That's all he is. Pure. Why would you turn that away? Why would you set yourself up to not hire that guy? To not hire that person? To not want that person on your team is a loss. You understand what I'm saying? Like, a loss. And there's just so much of that. There's so much of that. It's like that movie Hidden Figures, right? When you have the three black women that are mathematicians, and they have their whatever. If those three women were raised in an environment where they were nurtured they were given more efficacy and stability and ability and possibility, and like their world expanded because the world accepted them and supported them and encouraged them. Imagine what those minds could have done.
Right.
Yeah.
If the time spent holding in your freaking bladder and trying to hope and pray that you could just get through this, this one calculation so that you can run to the bathroom. That's fucking with your head. You ever had to go to the bathroom, but you gotta complete a task first?
Get through the traffic.
Yes.
Get through the traffic.
Right. Just driving. Trust me.
I've been there.
I'm old, so everywhere I gotta fucking go. Right? So I'm just saying, this country has been bamboozled.
Absolutely.
And you know what? If y'all would just bear with me for a moment, if it's okay, can I just show a quick video?
Of course.
I don't feel like I'm all that articulate, so I like to share videos about the things that I think. So check this out.
Let me say that again. The whole history of America is the history of rich white men telling not rich white people that their enemies are black and brown. It starts in the colonies of what will become the United States. Remember, during the colonial period, mid-1600s, there was no such thing as white people. I know some people who are now called white find that shocking, right? Because they think whiteness is real, right? But whiteness was created. Europeans didn't call themselves white. We didn't call ourselves white. We weren't all members of one big happy family. Are you kidding? The history of Europe was about killing each other. That's what we did in Europe. We just killed each other before we figured out there were other people to kill. We just killed each other, right? I mean, that was the history of Europe. The English hated the Irish, right? Northern Italians didn't even think that Southern Italians were Italians. The Germans hated everybody, and everybody hated their ass right back, right? There was no team called white, no race called white, but all of a sudden, in the middle of the 1600s, there was. Why? Why was it suddenly necessary to create this thing called the white race? Well, because rich people can count, that's why. And so rich folks looked around, the ones that owned all the land, in the colonies, the colonial elite looked around and they realized something, that they were heavily outnumbered by African enslaved folks, by European indentured servants who were just one level above a slave, or other Europeans who weren't technically indentured servants, but they were still peasants, didn't have any money, didn't have any land, and they could do the math. They added it up and they were like, damn, we got to figure out a way to split these folks apart from one another or they're going to rise up and take our stuff, right? Because after a while, these black folks who were enslaved Africans and these quote unquote white folks who were poor Europeans are going to figure out they're all getting played by these rich people, right? So ultimately the rich figure out they got to come up with some way to get somebody in that group on their team. The easiest thing is to get the poor Europeans, right? Because at least they look like you. They sort of share some of the customs and the culture. So they all of a sudden create this thing called, you're part of the club. Now we're going to let you testify in court, enter into contracts, vote, at least if you're a man, own a little bit of land, at least if you're a man, right? And we're going to get rid of indentured servitude. No more of that, because you're too good for that. And we're going to take the white men, now called white men, and put them on the slave patrol to keep black people in line. Give them a horse and a gun and a badge and make them feel big and powerful, right? They're still poor. They still don't have anything. They didn't pay the slave patrol well, right? Just exploited them, used them as a buffer between the elite and the other poor folks, particularly poor folks of color. And pretty soon the rebellions that occasionally happened where black and white got together to overthrow the elite, those stopped because the divide and conquer had begun to work, right? You could turn people against each other by telling those poor white folks, they got to keep these black people in line. And so that divide and conquer gets initiated in the colonies. Rich white men telling not rich white people that their enemies are black and brown. Fast forward to the Civil War era. And you have, I'm from the South, right? My people, the elite in my part of the country, right, actually announced that the reason they wanted to break away from the Union and possibly go to war with their brothers and sisters to the North was in order to maintain slavery and white supremacy. They said that at the time. We lie about it now. And we say it had nothing to do with that. But of course, at the time, they didn't have any shame about it, so they just said it openly, right? The vice president of the Confederacy, Alexander Stephens, said that the cornerstone of the new government was the great truth that the Negro was not the equal of the white man. So it's the reason the Confederacy was formed and existed. But here's the trick. If I'm rich and I want to go to war to protect my ownership in other human beings, my property, but you're poor and you don't own any enslaved people, why the hell would you go fight to protect my stuff? Because I'm a rich person. I'm not going to fight. Rich people don't go to war. Right? Rich people get poor people to go to war for them, whether it's in 1860 or whether it's during the 1960s or whether it's today, right? Rich folks get doctors to write notes for them that say that they have heel spurs, and that's why they can't go to Vietnam. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you can Google that shit because he's sitting in the White House right now, right? Oh, I can't go fight. I have heel spurs. Send some poor kids to do that for me, please, right? So that's been a long-standing tradition. So the rich have to figure out a way to convince the poor to go fight for them. But that's a hard thing. That's like a hard sell, right? Like, how the hell, why would you do that? Why would you go fight to protect my property rights when you don't own anything? The only way you would do it is if that rich person comes to you and says, hey, listen, you gotta go fight because we gotta maintain our way of life, because if these people get free, they're gonna take your jobs. No, fool, they already got your job. That's how it works, right? Because if I'm white and I gotta charge you $1 a day to work on the farm, but you can get a black person to do it for nothing because you own them, guess who got the job? Free got the job. Right? So in a sense, poor white folks would have been better off joining with black folks to overthrow the slave system. That would have raised the wage floor of all working people. But they got tricked by rich white men telling them that their enemies were black and brown. Fast forward to the 1930s. And you have white labor leaders. They're not even the elite, right? The labor leaders are not the elite, but they're the elite within the labor movement. And even they had fallen for it at this point. So they didn't want to integrate their unions. And they would say things like, well, we can't have black people and Mexicans and Chinese folks in our unions because if we do that, it's going to reduce the professionalism of our craft. We have to maintain the integrity of our profession. No, fool, you need more people in the damn union is what you need. Mm-hmm. And if you don't let those folks in, guess what happens when you go out on strike? Who is the boss going to use to replace you? They're gonna replace you with the very same black and brown folks that you didn't want to work next to, right? And so at the end of and then you're gonna blame them for taking your job rather than the white rich dude for giving it to them, right? Divide and conquer, telling not rich white folks that their enemies are black and brown. And now we fast forward to the president. We got the president of the United States becoming president on the basis of that same rhetoric, telling not rich white folks that the reason they don't have a job is because Mexicans took them. Right? That's the argument. Keep in mind, there's been a net outflow of Mexican folk from this country, out of this country in the last 10 years. Right now, border crossings and actual in-migration at the lowest level they've been since the 1970s. So anybody who believes that is a damn fool, or somebody who does not understand how to do research on the internet, or someone who doesn't care, right? But he says it, he says the reason you don't have a job is those brown folks took them.
Truth.
Just
Truth.
keep pressing repeat because it's been working all of these years. So I guess they just figured just keep pushing repeat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, and I think I said this the last time I was on your show, if you took all the non-whites on the census, the whites would be outnumbered still. If you took all the minorities, and there are some people that are put into the white category, Caucasian category, that are not Indian. Some of the Pan-Asians, some of them, Middle Easterns, but they separate all the categories to make it look like, oh, there's only 5% of these people and 15% of these people. If you put all that together, guess what? They're still outnumbered. And they do it to women versus men too. They do it along the gender lines because there's 168 million women in the United States. There's 165 million approximately of men. So women outnumber men, but what the white guys do, get their Republican wives to make sure they
and speaking of
support
that,
the misogynist,
Yeah.
Yes, this whole thing about taking women's right to vote, that last name thing, that bringing your birth certificate to vote, has women in an uproar. And my goal.
Yeah, but Roe v. Wade should have had women in uproar, and he still got in.
Exactly.
And women are still dying. In fact, they're dying at a very large rate at this point in certain states.
But JaVonne, most people still don't even believe that. When I brought that initially, right, and I brought it to other people like on TikTok fan base, they kept saying, "Oh, that's not good." People are still, even though they fight for everything else, when I mentioned that and brought that up, they still said to me, "Oh, that's not going to happen." So it's scary to the point that no matter what point we get to with every single thing that has happened through Project 2025, you get these certain groups of people that still in their minds don't want to believe the things that are happening. They just refuse to embrace the truth.
Yeah, I think there are a couple things to be done to make like real change. Number one, all the Democrats really have to stand up, and not stand up and just like be at a podium and yell and try and get into the Department of Education. They need to sit there and cause a stink until they come and get arrested.
Yeah.
That's what the public, because the public will go and stand by them with that.
Yeah.
Fight until you get arrested, and then look what happens. And it has to be every single one of them, not just like a group of 10. Those group of 10 are amazing, but every single one of them should be doing that. The spineless Republicans, I mean, I don't even know what to do about them. For us as people, you keep calling. You can call any senator, any representative, call the state legislators, call your local legislators, email them, call, show up at their offices, go to the rallies. The Republicans are not showing up to their town halls. Show up and cause a stink. Do whatever you can. And it could be 2 people, it could be 5 people, it could be 100 people, but that has to be continuous. But to this measure, there are things that you keep calling them out. You keep spreading the truth and calling them out and telling what the truth is. But in certain situations like this, expose them. I would have no problem calling doctors' offices in Texas, telling them that this is something that I think I need, and see what their response is on the phone. Have it on speaker, record it, put it out on social media so they actually hear the conversation that is being had on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know it's a little deceptive, but like, quite frankly, there are no rules anymore. There's a difference between rules and morals. And there's one thing to expose the hypocrisy and the lies that are endangering people. That's a moral thing. You know, for all these groups, and I think it's great because they're trying to like, well, we're suing him for this, we're suing them for that, we're asking him to testify. Well, we've seen it through this entire time because he should have been in jail years ago.
Yeah.
Half of them should have been.
Yeah.
But they're not. So the legal system, as much as we have to utilize it, he knows how to get around that. So it's pretty much a moot point to use the legal system with this guy.
So Jess, I have one more.
Everything that's happening.
I have one more question. So what do women do? Because as we see, it's a lot more women that are out there in all of these, going out to the Republican, confronting them. As you see, one of them got dragged out by men. The men stood around and didn't do anything. And then we have, what we're showing is there are a group of a sex that are not even there protecting the women that are standing up for their rights, as well as their counterparts, their men or their sons. But then you have the felon who approves for the Tate brothers to come back into
what
the
is
United
that?
States.
Right.
So my point of that is that the Tates are fostering this culture
misogynistic
of misogyny within the young group of men that are growing up to be adults. How do we combat something like that?
See,
It's
that's
very
where
hard.
that's where the fathers or mothers or parents or whoever, aunties, uncles, whatever, got to come in. And it's not about, it's kind of like when they used to say, oh, well, she dresses a certain way, so she deserves something. No, you should be teaching your son how to treat people. That's the problem. You got to raise them as a young man from a little child on how to treat their mother, their sister, their whatever. Now, these Tate brothers, honest to God, they should still be in jail.
They should be, but he got them out. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Well,
so when you have a misogynist at the top, and all of these other little minions of misogyny falling through all the way down to a new generation of people that are going to be voting, there is the issue. How do we combat something like that when they are now being taught disregard women, their voices don't matter? You have men standing up in Congress in their things stating that and dragging women out by hands and knees on the ground.
You know what? That's a question that we don't know an answer to yet, which is hard. We'll figure it out. I mean, it's kind of like the civil rights movement. Did you know everything that you were doing and how it was going to work? No, you just did it.
Yeah.
You would just do it and do more and do more and do more. This is going to be that situation. They should have never been allowed to come to this country.
Yep.
They should never have been allowed to have come to this country, especially when they were arrested for things like human trafficking.
Human trafficking, yes.
I'm sorry. Yes. And they're letting them in here. I think that is just disgusting. I really think that 2026 is going to have to be a big change government-wise. It has to.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people don't know is that because we don't have the power of any of the houses or the DOJ or the Supreme Court or the White House or anything else, there's very, very little that can be done because the vote, unless some of the spineless generation comes over to us, it's very hard to do anything. Even when they have committee meetings, they're the ones that decide what goes through committee and doesn't. So a Democrat could have a great legislative bill that would combat something like the Tate brothers. But guess what? The Republican who's the chair is going to say, nah, not interested. Exactly. So, and people forget, it's not that people don't get it done. It's that depending on the actual demographic makeup of the governmental, committees or, branches, that has a lot to do with it. That's where it comes down to the people. I have no doubt in my mind that there are going to be probably like Tate brothers protests all over the country. I hope so. Form them. Call your local officials, call your state reps, call nonprofit organizations, domestic abuse organizations. I know we have a really good one here. Call them and say, listen, this is what's going on. We want to have some kind of anti, essay rally or something, because these guys are now here and they should not be. And we need to make our voices heard that this is not okay. And the government letting them be here is not okay. And I guarantee, and most of those organizations are founded and maintained by women. I'm sure that they would be more than willing to help put something like that together. You call your Democratic committees in your city, in your town, in your county. Right now, they're all joining in rallies to protect. So, you can't say, well, what are we going to do? You got to do something. We got to just start trying to do something and organize it and mobilize it and make it as big as possible. That means you get it out on social media. That means you say, you know what? In all 50 cities, we're gonna put an anti-SA. We're protesting the Tate brothers.
Yeah,
coming onto our land.
Yep.
But and you do it.
What's to be expected when your leader is?
He ain't my leader.
Well,
he's their leader.
Exactly. But when the leader, I'm going to say it, was a friend of Epstein.
Right.
And Weinstein.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Oh, he's already convicted too. I mean, like,
and Diddy.
Yeah, right.
Well, then again, you got to remember all these wealthy people in these rich circles. A lot of them are probably all spinning around each other anyway. But I mean,
and
he was convicted.
Yes, convicted.
So that makes it different.
Yeah.
He's convicted. First of all, he shouldn't have been allowed on the ballot. in my mind. You know, because I guarantee I could ask any wealthy white man at a company in my area who owns a company and ask them if would you hire a black man who just got out of jail after serving 6 years? He served his penance. Would you hire him for a top position at your company? I guarantee that guy would say no.
Of
Yet
course
you'll
he
hire a
would.
goddamn felon for the White House.
Of course he would.
You know what I mean?
Because they all keep thinking they about to get them $5,000 checks.
I wish. But actually, you know, there's a part of me though that thinks that I know they say it, but if they delivered that, all they're doing is trying to buy votes.
But they couldn't. It would put it over $1.3 trillion back.
Do you think they care?
But
do you think they care? They just raised the debt. They raised the debt ceiling $4.5 trillion.
I really
They
believe
ain't gonna give nobody no money.
that one of the I don't remember which scheme it is.
Right. Can't keep up.
I can't remember which scheme it is that Alonia and Captain Chaos were talking about, where he's, you know, trying to infiltrate and get rid of the whatever, and it's going to save money for the country, and 20% of that is going back to the country and 20% is going back to this, but there's a whole 60% that where's that money going? Probably in their pockets. But that kind of thing wouldn't surprise me if they took that 20%, let's just say, of the trillions of dollars or millions or billions of dollars, however high you can fucking count, that whatever this agency is, or whether it be Medicaid, Social Security, whatever, that they want to crush, take that money out of the federal budget, give 20% back to the people, cut it up in $1,000 checks, and give those checks to all citizens, right? And then put the rest in their pockets. And here's the problem: the citizens would be like, "Hey, Trump gave us another $1,000.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'm going to vote for him again."
That's what I'm saying.
But he doesn't need the votes, though. They're already going for the third term. They're already.
I understand that, but Gigi, hear me what I'm saying. Is that it?
But no, it wouldn't be Trump giving out. Who said they were going to give out?
It's
the check?
our tax dollars.
Exactly.
No. But who was the person who said, "I'm giving you this money"? Musk, not the Cheeto.
Right.
He never said that.
But then, who? It would still grow love, or not love,
for that party.
Admiration. Yes, admiration for them.
But you have to remember, and I said this, and I can't even believe I said this, because everybody's like, you know, once, you know, maybe certain things to happen, so somebody's gone, and I said, I can't believe that I'm going to say this. I said, but it was a friend of mine who said something to me, and I said, listen, I said, we need the orange man to stay alive. You know, she was like, "Oh, you know, like, oh, yeah, one more this or one more that. Like, let's send him a whole buffet of fries or something." You know what I mean? Cholesterol's got to be ringing in that man's body anyway. But I said, at this point, because Sister Vance ain't taking over,
right?
Because nobody likes them. Because if something happens to the orange man, we got this man from South Africa and his musketeers who already bought this country.
Yeah.
And we see what he's doing.
Yeah.
And the orange man is kind of every once in a while trying to separate, so that way he doesn't take responsibility for what Musk does. What we have to remember as citizens is that they cannot be separated. Musk would not be here doing this shit without the orange man.
That's
so
right.
Do not let them, the general public who are watching this, do not let them start to separate themselves from each other, because I could tell you right now, they're like conjoined twins.
Yeah.
And we have to remember to treat them that way, because Trump wouldn't be here without Musk paying for it, and Musk wouldn't be here without the orange man being elected. So they are one in the same. I know they're going to try and make it like they're separate people. They ain't no separate people.
No,
they
they're
are
not.
not separate people. They're just doing all this shit so that way we focus on the BS and don't focus on what's going on in front of our faces.
That's it, right
That's
there.
it.
Exactly. Let me just ask you, because it's 1 minute to 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock.
Any last words until the next time?
Don't lose focus. Don't get caught up in the movie that Hollywood could not write a fucking script for.
Yeah.
Focus on the real stuff. And the real stuff to focus on is not sexy stuff. Half of it's not even interesting stuff. But once in a while, focus on the real stuff from the real people who are actually doing the work to see what's going on. Because all this other shit is fluff. It's scary fluff. And it's happening. But we have to remember, it's not, like you said yesterday, this will make for great TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think?
Like we say in Philly, BTA, beat their ass. BTA. BTA.
And with that, I want to thank you both for this really good conversation.
Oh, thank you, ladies. I always love joining you.
Jess.
And thank you, Pop. Thank you, Pop, for being so good.
Hey, Poppy.
Yes.
We love you, baby.
Yeah, and tell Terez that I missed her very much.
I absolutely will tell her. I absolutely will. God bless, and see you all next week. Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music, politics, or just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artists or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today, or what we doing today, or whatever it is, it's gonna be good. Woo!
I love you all so much.
Just the first thing that
Adam and Eve.
We can see you now.
I know, and thank God.
Yeah. That's generally the response we get from everybody, but we keep it clean.